Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuck Rule Takes. This is episode 45. I don't even have the willpower to look up a Patriots player. That's number
Nope.
45. But it's the
We don't have
45th
it in us.
episode. We're almost to episode 50. I'm Mike Sullivan. As you know, Liam, he's here with me as well. Liam, I'm not going to ask how you're doing.
Yeah.
I
You
don't.
know
I
the
think
answer.
that's pointless. Since we last recorded, you might as well just get right into the bullshit here. James White, Super Bowl hero, fan favorite, just overall god running back
Yep.
and catching, just doing everything you need him to do.
The heart and soul of this team.
The heart and soul. Every team has heart and soul. The Celtics have, their Marcus Smart, heart and soul. The Bruins have Bergeron. The Red Sox have the Red Sox. Yeah, they got who knows, Xander Bogaerts, Devers, who knows. But the Patriots had James White. He was the last remaining. I mean, it was really him and Edelman that were really, the last, like the guy
Bridge to
on
the old
offense,
era.
at least. Yeah, because on defense, you still got McCourty, Hightower's still floating out there. James White has retired.
Life comes at you fast, man.
Liam, take it away. I am sad.
I have no words to describe how this hit me when I first found out. I would have much rather been served divorce papers and found out my kids are being taken away from me. Like this one hurt. We are the James White Pro Patriots podcast. We end every fucking podcast whispering out sweet feet. Just kind of giving it up to our deity there, because this isn't just any other Patriots running back. We're not talking about Woodhead. We're not talking about BJGE. This is Super Bowl MVP, should have been in our eyes. Rightfully, we'll call him Super Bowl MVP. One of the top Super Bowl performers ever. And to go too soon, it's like one of those things. It's like he died. But obviously, like, his football career died just way before his time, because he still had so much in the tank. It was 31. A tough injury last year. Exactly. And a pass catching running back like that, he's not running it through the trenches, mostly catching the ball outside the numbers. I really think he had another 2 solid years under his belt, especially with Mac. He really would have helped out the passing game. It kills me, man. It absolutely kills me. The fact that we are deprived of seeing James White for a little while longer. Heaven forbid if we get to another Super Bowl, we know there would have been another big time performance in there, at least another 2 tubs, another 10 catches. It's sad. It's a disservice to Patriots fans everywhere. Obviously, he retired. It was probably for a reason. I feel bad for him, whatever he's going through. But goddamn, the fans really lost out on watching a stud.
Not only the fans, Mac Jones lost out on having one of the best, just safety valves. James White, not only could he pick up the blitz, he could do all the stuff you need.
The little things that no one gives a fuck about.
Yeah, exactly. But the things as a rookie quarterback that you want a guy that's gonna, he's gonna know, when to break out on the row, when something might happen. He's always gonna be there. It sucks. It sucks really bad. And like you said, it's just, he probably had 2 more years left in him, I would say. I agree with you on that.
Seemed like a fair assessment.
Yeah, seemed good. I mean, he just signed a deal to come back this offseason for 1 year. So it was kind of like, okay, he's going to be back. He'll probably go year to year, depending on how they do this year. He'll come back and all that. I mean, we were kind of factoring that into being a big part of the offense.
Yeah,
where
it was a foregone conclusion to me.
Yeah, exactly. I figured it was going to be him, and Hunter Henry obviously showed to be Mac's safety valve, but I thought it was going to be James White. If he's not there, he looks for Henry and then kind of does what he has to do. But
you're telling me I look like a fucking idiot, because I've been preaching this whole time that they're going to trade Damian Harris and Ramondre is going to be the lead power back. They'll work in a little Pierre Strong or what is it, Jack Harris, something Harris.
Kevin Harris.
Kevin Harris, work some of him in, and then James White would be the pass catching third down back. Now I'm like, oh my god, there goes that prediction, because you're not going to get rid of Damian Harris now that we're down a running back.
James White, in his in his career here, he played 95 games, 1,278 rushing yards, 11 rushing touchdowns, 381 catches, 3,278 receiving yards, 25 receiving touchdowns. Obviously we know how he played in the playoffs, also 3-time Super Bowl champion. We had a conversation a few weeks back, kind of who your top Patriots are, in, like the dynasty 2.0.
Yeah.
Edelman, I think, was up there on everybody's list, or it was just me and you, so on our list. James White, if not number one, he is 1A to me with Edelman. He was up there. It was just everything. He would always the catches, juking guys, doing what he had to do. It sucks. I'm not happy about it. I will offer you a glimmer of hope, though. Ramondre Stevenson, I guess, has assumed the James White role when it comes to pass catching and everything like that. I remember you brought up, I think it was last week or the week before, and you were like, Devin Harris. No, oh my God, why can't? Yeah,
Devin Harris.
Yeah, God, I can't even think right now. It's ridiculous.
But Kevin Harris.
Yeah, he's been out there, not really doing much. It's basically been the Harris and Ramondre Stevenson thing, but Harris has been catching more passes for some reason. But no, Stevenson, though, he is now in there as the guy who's going to assume the James White role, which I think we both like. We saw Ramondre Stevenson can catch. So
what about Ty Montgomery? Because he got a lot of touches in camp, and he does exactly what I would expect James White to do. So now I think he becomes – I love Ramondre. He can catch the ball. I've said that many times. I'm sure.
I want him running, though. I want him running more than catching. Because
exactly.
I
Get
think
ahead of steam.
He's better.
Yeah, he's more of a downhill runner. But Ty Montgomery started out as a wide receiver, and he's more than capable. So I think he has a bigger role, and that's what I was wondering, who fills the James White gap? Because to you and me, this is a big gap, and I assume to the Patriots it was a pretty big gap.
Yeah, it's big, and I think I know that we both follow Mike Reese a lot, but it was other. I don't think it was him who said it. There was another Patriots beat guy who was saying Ty Montgomery seems to, in this, today for practice, it seems like he's been the one who has kind of assumed that role. Because it has been Stevenson kind of going back and forth catching balls. Maybe he could be the one, but I guess actually seeing it in practice and in the live, simulated game sessions with the Panthers, which we'll get into that later. I guess Ty Montgomery has kind of looked to fill that role. So I wouldn't hate it. I mean, obviously you bring Ty Montgomery here for a reason. And I feel like he's almost like the forgotten guy because it happened so early on. I think he was one of the first guys the Patriots brought in this offseason. I think was Ty Montgomery.
I think he was the first.
Yeah. And I remember seeing it. It was one of those things where it's oh, that's cool. I know the name, just because he used to play on the Packers. He used to be fun to use in Madden. So I everybody knows the name, or the majority of, Patriots fans who pay attention to football know
decent
the name.
Followers. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's Ty Montgomery, he was on the Packers and he went to the Saints and he kind of fell off and all that. Yep. But Ty Montgomery might play a big role. And I guess he had a good practice today. He's been having good practices. So I think my vote would be, even though Stevenson can catch, I want to see him run more. I don't want him really wasting time catching that. Now, if he runs out for passes, that's fine. I don't want his role being the James White role. Yeah, I want James White's role to go to Ty Montgomery. I think that would be it. And I think I feel you feel the same way, probably.
Yeah, I don't want Stevenson getting 5 carries and 10 catches. That's lopsided. That wouldn't make much sense to me. You're not utilizing him. But with Ty Montgomery, I like him. He's cool, but he's not a big name, nor is James White. To most people, James White doesn't mean a whole lot. But even in Super Bowls where we lost, against the Eagles, James White killed it. Had a huge check down, which ended up going for a touchdown. Yep. He rises in big moments. Ty Montgomery hasn't showed it, but he hasn't been on successful teams. He was on the Jets. They were fucking terrible. He was on the Packers, and they were all right then, but he still wasn't spectacular on the Packers. With New Orleans when they weren't so hot.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really fault him for that. He was there with, the last of Drew Brees, the Jameis years.
But his stats, it's underwhelming. You read off James White's stats, they don't blow you away, but Ty Montgomery stats blow you away even less, where it's like
Yeah.
his best season for receiving yards, he had 348. I don't have James White's numbers offhand for a season, but I would imagine they're better than 348.
Yeah.
And his most receiving touchdowns, 2. I know James White's had more than that in the season. Rushing yards are unspectacular, to say the least. The most he has had in a season was 457. So not stellar. That's actually not as bad as I thought. That was his far and away best year. Every other one is like 273 is the second most, and then it hovers around 100.
So with James White, his his lowest number other than his first year in the league, which he had 23 yards receiving, his lowest number was 2020, where he had 375. He didn't even play every game that year. But no, he goes, I mean, to rattle it off, 410, 551, 429, 751, 645. Then you got 375. God. So his numbers are up there.
Besides his rookie year, his worst year was still 22 yards or 24 yards more than James White.
Exactly. But I mean, the thing with Ty Montgomery, the leeway I'll give him is that he like found the running back role halfway into his career, because he did the thing where it was like, he was, like you said, he was a receiver. He wasn't the star receiver in Green Bay. He's never been the star receiver.
They drafted him as a wide receiver because they have none.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I mean, Aaron Rodgers kind of, I don't know what he was doing over there, but he didn't find him that much. So I remember when he went to play running back, he looked good there. It's one of those things where I feel like you almost have to, if you see the player, and I hate saying the player, but if you see the player has the skill to do something, it's like, hopefully Belichick, harnesses that from him. I hope it's Ty Montgomery. I'm not expecting him to put up James White numbers. I don't think anybody will, but just be somewhat serviceable. And I think you fill your role on the team.
Now, humor me here. Is there a chance that he breaks out and has his best year ever and gets more than 400 receiving yards and kind of balls out for us, where we're like, all right, this dude hasn't done a whole lot, but he also hasn't been given a lot of opportunity. Like, his most receptions was 44. We can get him 44 in 5 games. So, like, if you just force fed this guy the James White role and ran it up the middle, kept running the ball with Stevenson and Harris, and this dude caught all the running back passes. In a perfect world where we give him the volume, do you think he could break out in his 8th year?
I'm gonna say no, but I don't mean that in a negative way, or a way that he's not gonna. Realistically, I don't see him having. I mean, I could see him having around 400 yards or something like that, but or maybe 3 something, or a little more than
matching his best. Like I said, his best was 350.
Yes, I could see him having a little bit more than that. I just feel like he's going to be one of the guys where, just like with anybody on the Patriots, where one week it might be very Montgomery centric, it might be Jacoby Myers centric. Like, you don't, and then especially once you say that he's in the backfield, I mean, you have no idea what's going to happen. We don't even know what the offense is going to look like. I just think that if you look past the stats, I think that he's going to have. He's going to be very useful for the Patriots. Whatever that looks like, I don't think I know. So it's kind of like a cop-out answer, but like, I
know what you mean, though, because like, how are they going to use them? They're always a running back by committee, so no one really gets that chance. But James White limited, with constantly being shuffled out, James White would be in for like 4 downs a series maybe, and he was able to put up that production. It's always a swinging door at running back.
Yeah, it's going to come down to if Ty Montgomery can do the little things, like, I mean, blitz pickup, kind of know when to break out on that delayed route and stuff like that. If he can do that,
when he isn't getting the ball.
Exactly. Yeah. Because that's what James White excelled at. That's what made James White be able to be on the field, so he could be a part of those big plays or be that big, reliable guy. So I don't know. I just hope that this loss doesn't, and I don't think, as much as we love James White and we know how good he is and how important he is to a team, the Patriots won 10 games and made the playoffs last year without James White, for all intents and purposes. He played 3 games last year. He had 94 yards, 12 catches. But like, if you can find someone to split that production up with for Mac, whether it's Ty Montgomery and Stevenson or something like that, I don't think it's going to impact the success of the Patriots. I just think it would be easier if James White was there, though. So that's where I'm at with them. It sucks for the fans. We all love James White. I don't think you can find a Patriots fan out there that doesn't love James White. If you do, he or she is not a Patriots fan. Just sucks.
Yeah.
Sucks.
It really does. I put James White in the echelon of like great Patriots players that performed when it mattered most. Like he's in my like Deion Branch tier where I'm like Deion won Super Bowl MVP, balled out in the playoffs, balled out when it mattered. Wasn't crazy regular season numbers. Like Deion wasn't a top 10, 15 receiver in the league. But when the playoffs came around, when the Super Bowl came around, you can throw it to Deion 11 times, get 150 yards in the big game and stuff like that.
He's going to be there.
Yep. Give him an end around. He'll take it to the house. I love me some Deion Branch. So I think of like performing playoff.
Danny Amendola. Like I'd put him in the same.
Danny Amendola.
In that same ilk.
Friggin', I put like loose, like, and maybe in a tier lesser for playoff performers, like Brandon LaFell in 1 year. He had like, a touchdown basically every playoff game.
He might be at the, he's in the lowest
touchdown in the Super Bowl. Yeah, exactly. So he was only there for a year, but he balled out. But like, I'm trying to think who's another big playoff performer, like Deion Branch, him.
I mean, Rob Ninkovich always came up big.
Rob Ninkovich was huge.
I would put him in the lower tier of that tier, but I think he's still there.
Hightower, of course, is in the top tier.
I think Hightower might be the toppest of tiers there. Like just
stopping Marshawn Lynch, forcing a fumble on Matt Ryan. What more? Like, what more do you need? Those are two tremendous moments.
If you take out all Vinatieri's kicks.
Yep. Vinatieri, that's another one.
And if you take out Malcolm Butler's interception, Dante Hightower is responsible for the two most important Super Bowl plays in Patriots history.
Definitely.
Stopping Marshawn Lynch because that led to the pick. And
but that's a thing that most people don't think of. Yeah, on Matt Ryan. Not.
But most people don't. We're not most people, motherfucker.
Damn right we aren't.
People.
Damn right we aren't. But yeah, so that's one of the things to me where it makes me even more sad beyond our overwhelming love of James White. It's just like, damn, like another dude off the books, one of the old school classic Patriots who balled out when it mattered. It's a shame. Those are hard to come by, even with the Patriots swinging door, next man up, and usually they always ball out. They don't always ball out in the biggest games. So
yeah. So we'll just kind of. We'll end it, rest in power, James White, the legend.
We'll give a moment of silence for him toward the end of the podcast too, right before we sign off. That's only fitting.
Of course.
Breaks my fucking heart.
It sucks. And there's more players. There's a couple more players whose season has been lost this year. But before we jump into what's going on, what went on today in preseason, what went on practice, training camp, all that stuff. NFL released their top 100 list. I don't want to spend a bunch of time on this because I think the list is kind of, it's voted on by the players. So I think if anything, this list, as much as people shit on it, because just like they do with any sort of list, but it is voted on by the players. So if anybody's going to know, it's the players. Now, of course, is it a popularity contest at some point? Of course. Our boy Mac Jones voted the 85th best player in the league. Love that for him. Actually, I want to see the NFL top 100 list. I want to see who else he was voted up there in front of.
Yes, the 15 players that were behind him.
Let me see. I got it here. Hold on. Let me scroll down. So we got, he's in front of Kirk Cousins.
That makes sense.
David Montgomery, running back for the Bears. We know who he is. He is in front of CeeDee Lamb.
Makes sense. He sucks.
Wild. Love that. He's in front of Justin Tucker, arguably the best kicker in the league.
Yeah.
He's in front of Von Miller, Bills fans. Eat your heart out.
Yeah.
He's in front of Tyron Smith.
Also makes sense.
In front of Kyle Pitts, overrated tight end for the Falcons. He's in front of OBJ, Marshawn Lattimore, Denzel Ward, and Shaquille Barrett from the Bucks. So those are
big names.
Those are some big names he's in front of. The skill player ones, the CeeDee Lamb, the Von Millers, even the Justin Tucker.
Kirk Cousins is like a big time regular season performer. So that's Kirk Cousins surprised me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very surprised about that. Now you saw, I don't know what. Well, you didn't see. You're not on Twitter as much. Bills fans were going crazy about this. Not sure why, because the Bills were not mentioned in this at all. Don't worry, Josh Allen is going to be listed very high on the list, as he should.
Yep. You
do not worry.
Relax.
Bills fans, and I've said this ever since the Bills started to take, temporarily take the interim AFC East title until the Patriots come back. Bills fans do not understand how to handle success. They think that they see Patriots fans taking jabs at other players and other teams, but they don't understand that's because it's been 2 decades of bullshit that we've been given. So we give it right back. Bills fans, new money. They're new money. Patriots fans are old money. The Bills don't know how to spend their money. So what do? Anytime a rival is praised, they're like, "Oh my God, how'd this happen?" I can't do a Bills accent. I feel like that's how they just sound stupid. Like they're
sound like Canadians.
They're at the zoo, as we know Bills fans to do.
Always.
And they just they can't seem to get the Patriots name out of their mouth. Don't worry, because Mac Jones is going to be shoving his number 85 best player football shaped dick down your throat. So don't worry, he's going to be kicking your ass this year. I hate Bills fans.
It's so annoying.
They're insufferable.
Of course, like they just have to have an opinion. Everyone has to throw their opinion around. And it's like, really? Because we don't give a fuck. You are the rivals. We get it. You don't like Mac Jones. Whatever you say is rooted in bias that you don't like Mac Jones. And granted, what we say is rooted in bias because we don't like the Bills. That's just how it works. If you asked any Spartans what they thought about the Persians, it probably wouldn't be great. If you asked the Persians what they thought about the Spartans, they're probably a bunch of dirty motherfuckers. But there's, with each lie, or each insult, I guess, there's a little bit of truth in there. And it's like, when we talk about Bills fans and how fucking sad that their life must be to support a franchise like this, it's because there's a little bit of truth in there. And that truth is they don't really win shit. With them, all they have to hold on to is the last 2 years. And it's like, okay, you're standing on soil. It's not thick. It's not strong. It's like land on the edge of a river that's flowing very fast. It's like the river is wearing away at the ground that you're standing on. You're on it right now. Yep, but just keep standing there. Another 10 minutes. We'll see. That might start to give way under your the fat asses that also break tables.
That's how they break the tables. I don't even want to talk about this because Judon is also number 52 on the list. I don't think we need to get into that. He deserves to be there.
Yeah.
Last thing for the Bills, the big tweets that are going around. Everyone's like, he's 16 of 35 with a 45.7 completion percentage, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks, and a combined 164 yards in his first 2 regular season games against the Bills. Like, how is he number 85? One, I didn't know that success against the Bills kind of like dictated where you're put on that list.
No, you didn't realize the whole list is based off how those players do against the Bills. It's not about any other teams.
Because they're all of a sudden like these fucking world beaters. So Jerry Thornton tweeted this out. He said,
"Fucking world beaters."
He said, like they're the fucking Bills. Like, what you went to the Super Bowl 1 billion times, lost 1 billion times in a row. So he said, Josh Allen, just for perspective, 47.8% completion percentage, 1 touchdown, 5 picks, and a passer rating of 52.6 against the and 24 flat in his first 2 games against the Patriots. So let's not act like it's almost identical numbers. So let's not act like, and you got to think, one of those games, Mac Jones threw the ball 3 times.
Yeah.
So like it was,
Come on.
You're trying to compare this, and one of the games literally was in unprecedented weather.
Yes.
Like
not even unprecedented weather, unprecedented game plan, where it's like, that's basically a bye week for Mac.
Yeah, exactly what it was. He had to go ice up his hand after. That's all it was. So Bills fans, piss off, go enjoy your couple of years, because I promise you that this season will not go this is not going to go the way you think it's going to go this year. That's all I'm going to say to Bills fans. I don't give a shit about them. I don't want to talk about them anymore. That's it. We're moving on to Patriots, unless you have anything else to say about Mac Jones being 85.
Yeah. We should put a poll out on our Twitter, because I'm curious, like, people who aren't Patriots fans, would you rather have Kirk Cousins or Mac Jones? Like, obviously not talking about the future, because Mac has a longer career ahead of him than Kirk Cousins, but say for the next 2 seasons or the next 2 or 3 seasons. Who would you rather have, Kirk Cousins or Mac Jones? I'm curious because obviously for you and me, it's we want Mac Jones. Kirk Cousins puts up gaudy numbers. He throws the ball a lot. He's a fine quarterback. $100 million fully guaranteed for a reason. He's not atrocious, but the players voted Mac Jones better. They think Mac Jones is better for a reason, whether that's Kirk Cousins melting down. They haven't made the playoffs a couple times. When they do make the playoffs, he still kind of sucks.
Yep. The players voted it. That's the thing. This wasn't like a group of writers who don't know anything. These are the players who have played against these guys who voted who voted for this. So
these players are okay. I am more scared of a rookie or soon to be a second year player than I am of a 8-9 year veteran who's been to a couple playoff games and is leading an very, very potent offense with a beast of a running back and 2 stud wide receivers. They are more scared of Mac Jones. Makes you wonder, because it's like, what if Mac Jones was on the Vikings, had Dalvin Cook, had Adam Thielen, had Justin Jefferson? I think it'd be
Super
over.
Bowl.
It'd be a
Bloodbath.
bloodbath. It wouldn't.
Done.
That'd be an easy 30 touchdowns for Mac Jones. Like on off year, he's getting 30 tubs.
Easy. Yeah, you can't. Don't give me. And I have nothing against Kirk Cousins. It's just
no, because I think he's just middle of the road.
Yeah, that's it. Nothing crazy. He's a good fantasy quarterback. So listening to this right now, when you're listening to this, the poll will be up. Tuck Rule Takes at Tuck Rule Takes on Twitter. Go there, vote yes or no, or who would you want, Kirk Cousins or Mac Jones, to be on your team right now, starting moving forward. And I think the answer should be Mac Jones, but you answer whoever.
Answer accordingly. Don't let our bias influence you, but it should be Mac Jones.
It should be Mac Jones. Now, okay, onto the Patriots. Patriots, joint practices with the Panthers. Fight it, fucking battle royal. Yeah. Battle royal. I kind of want to just. It's the easy place to start. That's kind of where it should go.
Games out there.
So I tried to. No one really knew what was going on, and then I clicked on a bunch of things, put the story together, and then I think it was Mike Daniels, someone who was there, one of the Patriots reporters, kind of figured out what it was. So Christian Wilkerson, all game or all practice, and not just him, other Patriots receivers, but him in particular in this instance, was getting grabbed the whole time, whole practice. Yep. He caught an out route from Mac Jones, perfect throw, I'm sure it was. Kind of went into the Panthers bench area. Obviously, as one does when he catches that. Someone on the Panthers kind of gave him a little, mouthed off. I guess it was one of those like, get the fuck out of here type of things. Wilkerson turned around, started kind of jawing back at him. One of the Carolina coaches pushed Christian Wilkerson. And then I guess the other 2 people on the bench don't know their names. Their names weren't mentioned. They're not even worth giving them names, but player X and player Y, I guess punches were thrown in the direction of Wilkerson. And what happened then? Brawl, ladies and gentlemen. I guess Kendrick Bourne came over, started squaring up, throwing punches at people. Cole Strange, our boy, was in there doing shit.
Love that.
Basically the entire Patriots offense. Yeah, you can't see. I love that shit when offensive linemen get involved. Yeah. Love that. So Kendrick Bourne and Wilkerson got ejected. One of the Panthers DBs got ejected. Again, I don't give a shit what his name is. He's probably not going to make the team anyway. Useless piece of shit. So they get ejected. Next play, Brian Burns. That's a blast from the past.
That's a familiar name.
Mr. Mac bit my ankle himself. Brian Burns, I guess after play was over, decided to put his hand in the chest of Trent Brown. 7-foot Trent Brown. You are going to pick a fight with the biggest man on the field, who has shown that he does not give a shit who you are. He shut down Aaron Donald in the Super Bowl. He will throw you around. And I guess Trent Brown kind of like pushed him away. Not a little scuffle, nothing crazy. Next play, James Ferentz, however you say his name, Patriots backup O-lineman who was in, got thrown to the ground after the play was over. Another brawl broke out. Ferentz and the other Carolina guy got thrown out. Then I guess the coaches kind of huddled both teams up. basically what was said is that there were a lot of expletives, and it was basically get your fucking head on straight, go out there and play football type of thing.
Yeah.
I love this shit.
Love it. I eat that up. First of all, I do want to address the Brian Burns thing. I would rather stick my hand in a wood chipper. I do not know what he's thinking. Like, this dude clearly has a death wish. Obviously, like, going all out on the Mac Jones thing last year, trying to say we play dirty and whatnot. That Mac was trying to break your ankle. I think that was a pity party. We get it, dude. Mac was trying to stop you from recovering a fumble. Like, deep breath. But to step up to our offensive captain, basically, are the ground, the foundation of where this offense starts and stops, the most important lineman, maybe the most important player on this team. We saw what the season was like without him for 4 games last year. This is not the man you want to mess with. Where is your sense? Yeah, come on now. Like, I can't think of, I don't think Aaron Donald would want to fight him. I cannot think of anyone that would want to fight Trent Brown. And this dude, I'm sure he's hoping that it's going to get broke up. He's like, yeah, like, even if I start this, like, we're not going to, I would just love like an unimpeded, let them go at it and see what happens. Cause Bill loves it. Bill's into that.
Yeah.
He loved Rodney Harrison. Let him fight. I'll let Rodney Harrison beat the fuck out of all the players on the team. I don't care. He wants to punch Asante Samuel, give him an uppercut, make him feel it. Like, he wants to fight anyone, go for it. I wish we got to see what an actual fight between them would look like. I do not wish particular malice on one player or another, but I would have loved to see Trent Brown just pulverize Brian Burns.
He would pick him up. He would pick him up like those videos you see of bodyguards picking up like the rich white kid who's mouthing off. Literally just pick him up like a baby. Like, nope, I'm taking you off, and just bring him to the sideline, place him down. Doesn't even need to throw him. Just place him down, pat him on the head, and go back over.
That's what he should. Like in The Blind Side when Michael Orr blocks that dude out of bounds and pushes him over the edge. He's like, I took him out the club. It's like, yup, that's what I want to see. It's a shame we don't play the Panthers this year because we played them last year. It's a shame we don't. I would have loved to see that in game action, but these joint practices this week. So yeah, I mean, it's so better than hopefully nothing. I don't think either one will get much starting time where they'll play a lot where there would be a fight. But,
well, I don't know, because there's only 3 preseason games now, so this might be like the dress rehearsal game. So maybe they will. I mean, Brian Burns will, because let's be honest, he needs to be on the field. He needs to. He needs to get his play up.
He needs to get reps.
Good.
Yeah.
No,
he's got to get
a
better.
Fringe player.
Trent's fine. Yeah. Trent's fine. Plus, Brian Burns went to Florida State, so he's clearly a fucking hillbilly idiot.
He would. It would. God, I wish we could have seen that. But
oh God.
But yeah, the Trent Brown thing. Like, I just don't. That's like anytime anybody like picks a fight against him, like on the field, even like during the games, it's like, what, dude? Do you look around? Like, who of all the people, you're gonna pick the beast of a left tackle, of a right tackle? Who none
fight
of it.
Ty Montgomery. Don't fight.
None of it. Yeah.
Trent
exactly,
Brown.
Dude. Go find Mac Jones, fight him. I mean, shit. I mean, you'll get taken down the ankle lock again, but like just go try.
Nothing you're not used to.
Yeah, go. I saw people again, the Panthers fans saying that Mac Jones could have. It was a career-threatening move. Dude, shut up. That's not. He didn't like alligator roll his. I don't even want to get into that. That was just the dumbest non-story.
Yeah.
Of all time. But yeah, I like the fights. I like this. I guess they were asking Adrian Phillips after the practice, and he was like, they were kind of talking chippy the whole time. We just come here to practice. We kind of save that for the game. So it was like the perfect reaction. It's the thing where it's almost like when the little brother starts acting up and everything, and you take it. And then eventually you kind of have to beat the shit out of your little brother.
Yeah.
But then everybody's like, oh, why'd you do that? You're whatever. And it's like, dude, I can't. I was dealing with it the whole time. Like, eventually lessons have to be learned. Lessons have to be taught. Like, come on. So
you poke the bear enough times, the bear's gonna fight back.
Exactly. Love that Kendrick Bourne was throwing fisticuffs though.
Yep, of course. He seems like the scrawny guy that's not very tough, but he's gonna go into every fight just because he thinks he's
coming with like the windmill. Yeah.
The grossest punches where he's hitting like this, but it doesn't matter.
But
I just like that he shows up.
If you connect with enough of them, it might leave a bruise. So
yeah, you might feel something.
Who knows? But yeah, so that was the little fight thing. One thing that I found interesting though, coming out of this, and I guess we'll talk about the corners now, since we talked about James White retiring. Jawan Williams and Malcolm Super Bowl hero Butler have been placed on IR today. Their season is done. That leaves the Patriots with Jalen Mills, Jonathan Jones, Marcus Jones, Jack Jones, Terence Mitchell, Miles Bryant, and Sean Wade. How do you feel about this? Both of these guys being gone. I mean, I think Jawan Williams, but Malcolm
loss.
Butler, yeah. How do you feel about that?
I mean, realistically, neither one of us expected much from Jawan Williams. Like
back up.
He was one of my top candidates to get cut. Like I didn't see him doing a whole lot. We drafted 2 rookie corners for a reason.
That's what a lot of people were saying. Credit to the Patriots beat writers and shit. They were saying, they didn't do the whole Jawan Williams is gone, the sky is falling. A lot of them were like likely to not make the 53-man roster, was probably going to be a practice squad guy. So yeah, I feel the same way about him, Jawan Williams.
But Malcolm Butler, it's just sad, man. What, has he not played football in 2 years now? I think he was on the Cardinals and he stepped away. This is clearly an injury from not being in football for a long time. He's for however long it was, he wasn't making those lateral cuts. He wasn't doing actual in-game practice and exercise and whatnot. And you stiffen up. The muscles aren't as strong when you aren't doing the repetitive motions. I'm sure he was practicing hard in the off seasons and whatnot, but he certainly wasn't practicing as hard as he would be if he was on a roster and participating in games and whatnot. It sucks. It's just sad because you wanted to see him play. It was a resurgence. The Super Bowl heroes coming back. Much like awesome. Juwan, we didn't expect much, but it was a cool story. And if he can get in there and make a couple plays throughout the season, that would just be entertaining. We take care of our own. And when it comes to the Patriots, you did something great for us once. You are forever a Patriot. Now you come back. We understand you're older. We understand your limitations. You're not going to be the lockdown corner we expected the year after he made that big play. But we were looking for a defensive leader, somebody to be out there, an extra coach on the field to help out the defensive backs. Would have been huge with 2 rookie corners. And now with him gone, it's just sad. We get to miss out on a cool story. Some inspirational moments where he still makes some big plays, and hell, maybe he would have made some crucial plays for us that would lead to some extra success for us.
Probably would have. Yeah.
I would have bet he would have made at least 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And now it's just all on the rookies. So I'm kind of greened out about that, where it's like, okay, now we need a lot from Jack Jones and Marcus.
And Marcus Jones,
like, yeah. So
the Joneses, the 3 Joneses in the backfield there. It's one of those things. I think we even said it when Butler came over, when we were talking about the cornerback group as a whole. It was like, we didn't expect Malcolm Butler to be, the starting shutdown corner or anything like that. He was going to kind of be just that. And I think, like we said, with the whole cornerback room, where it was just, you kind of plug them in there. You don't really have to worry about them. Would he have given up a couple big plays? Probably, because that's just how he plays. He does try to, jump the routes and do things like that. But
little Trayvon Diggsy, but not too bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, nobody's like Trayvon Diggs. Wildly, very good, but also very overrated covering people. But it happened, and it's one of those things where it's a name, you have an emotional connection to him, and it's just like, man, that sucks. Oh my God. But then you start to look at everything else. Jalen Mills, as much as, even though he's from the Eagles, so I figured you would be like sucking his balls, but Jalen Mills, I guess, has balled the fuck out.
Yeah, apparently
he's and I love this term when it comes to corners. He's been very sticky. He's been on guys. He's been breaking up slants, which the slant pass pisses me off all the time because it's so undefendable unless you're just in the right position. But I guess Jalen Mills has been showing he's really going to be the number 1 guy. Love that. Jonathan Jones, the shocker to me, because he was the slot guy. That's how we talked about him. That's the position he played. They're pushing him to the outside. Marcus Jones is going to be the slot guy, or at least that's how they've been practicing.
Yeah. So I figured it would have to be something like that. Now it's a definite with Butler out.
Exactly. I thought it was well with Butler in there. I didn't know what the configurations were going to be, but now, I mean, I know Jonathan Jones is good. I have no issues with him. He's quick too, so him being on the outside, I like that. Jalen Mills, if he can build off what he was doing last year, if he can stay healthy, I have no issue with Jalen Mills. I guess Marcus Jones has been showing up and doing really well. So that's probably your top three. Terence Mitchell, veteran. I guess he's been playing very well too.
Yeah.
You have Sean Wade, the guy that we were kind of talking about last year, waiting for him to come back.
Yeah, I'm not so sure what to
Still on the
expect from
team.
him.
I guess he's playing well. I mean, it's nothing, he hasn't shown, he hasn't blown everybody away, but I guess he's making plays. So he'll make the team. And then Miles Bryant, people are saying he's going to make the team. So
our man,
I'm sure the Pats will actually, I don't even know if they will, but I'm sure they're looking to pick up a veteran, kind of do something.
Yeah.
But if there's no more injuries, you have Jalen Mills, John Jones, Terence Mitchell, Marcus Jones. That's your top four, I would assume,
Yeah.
And then you have Jack Jones, who's a rookie, but you got to think he'll play a little bit. Sean Wade, who I guess has been serviceable, and Miles Bryant. So I'm sure they'll pick someone up, but I'm still not worried about, and again, it might be like my Patriots glasses that are on, but I'm still not very worried about this. I don't think losing someone who probably wasn't going to make the team and a sometimes starter, sometimes depth guy impacts this room that much.
That's
I don't know.
My point
am I crazy? Am I crazy?
No, that's absolutely, because like you and me were both realistic. We're not expecting Malcolm Butler to come in here and ball out. Like if we had kept Stephon Gilmore and he was still on the team, and instead of Malcolm Butler, we have Stephon Gilmore. He's a little older now and whatnot. We know he'd be slower. We know he wouldn't be as good, but we know he's still above average corner with something left. If he were to go down, I would be a little more worried, where I'm like, damn, I was expecting like at least a good contribution from him. With Malcolm Butler, I was like, I don't know what we'll get. We'll probably get a few bad plays and a few good plays, but I liked his presence being there. With the Patriots, it just makes an already questionable position more questionable, which it's not like severely questionable, I guess. There are degrees to this. I was slightly concerned about the corners, and now I'm a little more concerned because they won't have veteran guidance on the field. But Malcolm Butler's still going to be around the team. He'll still be able to coach them from the sideline and whatnot. He's still a part of the organization. I can't imagine that they cut him.
No, I think he's
on a 2-year deal, isn't he?
I think I'll look it up. But yeah, either way, I don't think they'll cut him, because I don't know what's in his contract, but I'm sure there's something in there where he can't be, like, you can't be cut because
when you get injured
because of an injury. Because I think that's the same thing with Jawan Williams. Because this is Jawan Williams' last year. So so he's on a 2-year deal. So yeah, so
I expect Butler to be around. So they'll still get the guidance, but Malcolm Butler's not a starting corner anymore anyway. So I'm not entirely concerned. I don't know. It just sucks.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It kind of sucks. Does it impact how the corner play is going to be? Probably not. And seeing that these people, that at least one of the rookie corners that we drafted is kind of starting to develop, that makes it a little bit more, feasible to be like, okay, like the hit isn't that bad. Now, if the corners, if Jalen Mills looked a little slow, if Jonathan Jones looked great, if Terence Mitchell didn't, look like the solid veteran, if the rookies looked out of place, then it's like, oh shit, like at least Malcolm Butler is a body you can put out there. But seeing and hearing everything that's going on, it's like, it sucks that he's not around. Like you said, would have been a cool story. Awesome. Have him come back, make a couple big plays. The hometown crowd would have went bananas for it.
Oh yeah.
But I do think that I think Foxborough is going to go crazy if Marcus Jones has a pick 6 too. So
yeah. So between Marcus and Jack, are you expecting a big contribution from one of them, or is this just going to be like much like the running backs, where it's a swinging door? One will be in sometimes, one will be in the other. They'll both make plays accordingly because of circumstance. They'll get thrown to a couple times, so maybe each one will have a pick. Or are you expecting like Marcus Jones to take the reins and take off as like the gadget guy, returning punts and being a quick, I guess like quick fix at corner where he kind of takes the reins and becomes one of the best corners. You're expecting Jack Jones, who was a stud in college with some problems and didn't get the opportunity because of his own problems to show up in the league now that he has structure around him. Do you expect him to ball out?
I'm thinking Marcus Jones is going to be the guy this year, just because it seems like he's getting more of like the starter reps.
Yes.
Not to say that Jack Jones won't contribute, but I think that Marcus Jones is going to be the guy that, like, if I had to pick one of them who I would say, okay, who's going to have more playing time, probably going to be Marcus Jones. And I think he'll play better. I think in just kind of how everybody's been talking, there hasn't been anything bad said about about Jack Jones, but there's been more good said about Marcus Jones. And I think when you're a rookie in training camp, if nothing bad is said about you, that's awesome. But if good things actively, like, people are pointing out, like, you look good, that's even better for you in your playing time. So I think Marcus Jones is going to be the guy that that kind of surprises everybody.
And you have to go off training camp on this one, because the slate is wiped clean when you go to the league, because they're going to be in training camp. They're not going to look at what Jack Jones did in college. They're not going to look at what Marcus Jones did in college. They've already seen it. That's why they drafted him. They're going to try and put him in whoever it is, either one of them in a similar position to succeed. But the slate's wiped clean. So whoever's playing better in camp is going to get more opportunity on the field.
Yeah. And I think just judging by that, it's going to be Marcus Jones. I do still think that Jack Jones gets a good amount of playing time, but Marcus Jones is going to be the guy.
Marcus Jones just seems to have more ability. Like, he's faster. He can do more things. If he's going to be the slot guy, I'm confident, because of his lightning speed, quick to recover and stuff like that. He's going to be against, the quicker wide receivers like Adam Thielen, I guess, since we were talking about the Vikings and whatnot. And against the Panthers, he's probably against DJ Moore. It's like,
I mean, that's a big thing. You kind of have to look at what's going on now with Butler and Williams out, and what players, their traits, what their skill sets kind of warrant them, or, where they should play. I think Marcus Jones is going to be the guy. I think that he's going to be that third or fourth corner. If he leapfrogs Terence Mitchell there. So, and I hope that, honestly, perfect world, it's one of those things where they both should get playing time because they're both good.
Yes.
But I think that realistically, it's going to be Marcus Jones, just based on the reps he's getting, what's being said about him and all that stuff. But I do hope that Jack Jones still kind of shows up, because there were a lot of good things said about him, as we talked about in the draft.
Seems like a stud. I'm behind him anyway.
Jack Jones, that's a good corner name. You could say it's easy to say. It's like it's a name where it's like, oh my God, Jack Jones again showed up.
Yeah,
Jack
you can
Jones,
use the full name and say it in like 2 syllables.
Whole thing. Yep. Marcus Jones is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You call him MJ. You come up with little things for him. John Jones, you can say that. Jalen Mills, easy to say. 2 syllables. Jalen Mills. John Jones. Jack Jones. Like, it rolls off the tongue. So I would say though that Marcus Jones.
Yeah. What I really liked, because I was watching, or I read Mike Reese's report that he came out with on Twitter about the Patriots camp. Our number 1 receiver, man, Devonte Parker, the little blurb that he had about him.
That's who I was going to talk about next. Take it away.
Spoke highly about him. So, and I quote from Mike Reese, receiver Devonte Parker's knack for coming down with the football in competitive catch situations showed up multiple times down the field. It was one of the highlights for the offense. In quotes from Devonte Parker, if the ball's in my area, it's mine. I love it. The confidence right there, it exudes from him. He said of his mentality in those situations, adding that 50-50 balls are more like 80-20 balls.
Yeah, I mean, I am a wreck. I was going to say that I literally have it typed in my notes.
Yeah.
When I saw that quote, I was like,
shit up.
Can you imagine being like, yeah, no, they're 50-50. They're more like 80-20.
Yeah. You're like, oh, like they don't have a chance.
Buddy. 80-20. That is the mentality that you want your most likely number 1 receiver to have. Like Jacoby Myers will most likely get more targets, more receptions, and everything like that. But your number 1 guy is going to be Devonte Parker. Everything that has come out about him so far has been as advertised.
Yeah.
He goes up,
Balling.
gets the ball. He's ingratiated himself into the offense. He's already got handshakes with everybody.
Yeah.
Like he is the more this trade, he would be the guy. And actually, I'm going to ask you this question after I say this, but he would be the guy where like he's going to be your number one. I think the more and more you see it, he's the one. He's going to be that guy on the offense. It's going to be him. If you're going in the different position groups, it's going to be him and Hunter Henry. Those are your two number one guys. And I think everybody else
safety blankets.
Yeah. And I think everybody else kind of follows suit. So then you have your Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne's doing what he's doing. Jonnu Smith, who I guess he's had a fine camp as well. Now, would you, out of everybody, because I was going to say it would be Devonte Parker. Devonte Parker goes down. That would be the number, other than Mac Jones, obviously. That would be the number one heartbreaking thing for me, because that's when I'm like, okay, you were not sounding the alarms or anything like that, but you bring in Devonte Parker to be that number one. Everything that you've seen so far, he is that number one. If he plays where he's going to go up there and snatch the ball over the top of corners, they're going to have to shade the safety that way. That gives room for Jacoby Myers. That gives room for Aguilar. Like, you have all this room. If he goes down, I think, other than Trent Brown and Mac Jones, he might be very early, very, very, very early to say this, the most crucial cog in the offensive wheel right now.
Yes, because I think so too, because it's a new offense. Exactly. And we are building it around the fact that we have this guy to take the top off of defense. And even when he's covered, not wide open down the field, we can throw it and have faith. Like, these comments, I love a wide receiver that exudes confidence like this. It's like, it reminds me of like Ocho Cinco and like some of the other famous T.O., the shit talking wide receivers. Like,
Randy Moss would say, just throw it, just throw it. Even if I'm not open, I'm open.
The second he would get off the line, the hand would be in the air. He'd be like, I'm open, even though the corner's right there. The corner is in his face. He's like, I'm wide open, just throw it, which is so disrespectful.
If we see holy shit. Say
that would be incredible.
Patriots have the ball at the 25-yard line. You see him in the bottom of the screen. You see play snaps. You see immediately hand goes up. Touchdown, 25 yards in the end zone. I don't know. I'm going to have to take a cold shower if that happens, because I love that shit where like the receiver just because everything that goes into that, the receiver knows the defense. He knows the safety isn't coming over. He knows the corner is playing up on him. If he even gets that one step, Mac Jones is going to put the ball where he needs to be. That people have said,
that's not a doubt.
You want to talk about the offense having issues, they're struggling. I don't think so, because I think what the offense is doing, they're working specific things. That's how Patriots training camp has always been. But everybody's been saying Mac Jones has been very good throwing the ball deep. We got a wide receiver whose his main attribute is that he goes deep and picks the ball off of it. He does what that godforsaken waste of space N'Keal Harry should have done. He goes over the top and snatches it. It's not 50-50. It's 80-20, bitch, and I'm the 80.
He's doing everything right. He's balling out in camp. He's saying it, and we've seen it in the past. When he has a healthy season, he performs spectacularly well.
When he plays, he shows up. Who I didn't even bring up, if he stays healthy and does well, Tyquan Thornton could show up and do things. Because same thing. He's having a good, and I know it's training camp. I know you can't say these players are going to be, Hall of Famers because of it. I'm talking about just this year and, possible, potential. If Devonte Parker is taking the number one corner and the safety is shading towards them, if you have him on the field, you have Nelson Aguilar, and then you have Tyquan Thornton lined up. You got Kendrick Bourne fucking in motion doing fake jet sweeps. So that's going to pull in the linebackers. And then you have three burners who can do whatever they need to do out there. And then you got Jacoby Myers, who might just leak out. On top of that, you have Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith, who's probably on the field. Tell me again why anybody is worried about this offense.
Because Devonte Parker can never stay healthy.
I am assuming health. Sorry.
Okay, I know you are. In a perfect world where he plays all 17 games and the playoffs, I love the chances. But like you said, if Devonte Parker goes down, you'd be worried. I think it's a guarantee that he misses like 2 to 4 games this season.
And that's fine. If he
That's
misses
fine.
a couple games.
Because then we just have the same offense as last year, which was okay.
It is what it is. You have the same offense with Jonnu Smith engaged, with Tyquan Thornton, who I'm hoping that, I mean, I picked him as my breakout of the draft. Hoping that he just kind of progresses in the way where he can fill in a couple games. You know, he's not going to be Devonte Parker, but just if you have all the cogs in the machine doing what they should do, you should be able to handle Devonte Parker going down, which he most likely will do for a couple games. You should be able to handle Nelson Aguilar going down for a couple games. Kendrick Bourne's been relatively healthy. I don't think him or Jacoby Myers are going to go down. So if you have those two, Hunter Henry, I think he's been pretty healthy, right? I don't think he's really been missed much. I mean, just kind of regular
He
stuff,
didn't last
right?
year, but like he usually does.
Okay, but even if Jonnu Smith, so it's just
we have a lot of insurance policies.
I think the main thing with this offense, which it's always going to come back to, is going to be the offensive line and Mac Jones.
Yeah.
What it's going to come down to, because I think you have people
not worried about Mac Jones.
No, I'm not worried about it. This is his second year. I'm going into this expecting him to make some stupid fucking plays here and there. I'm not like he's not going to be Tom Brady in year 10. Like he's going to be Mac Jones in year 2. Which I think is a really good quarterback. I think I saw someone say, do you think at the end of this year, Mac Jones is a top 10 quarterback? Maybe not in every stat, but just when people list quarterbacks, is Mac Jones going to be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL at the end of the 2022 season? What do you think? Top 10. I think he will be. I think it's I don't think he's going to be like top 5. I'm not going to put him up there because you still have Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Russell Wilson, I think is over the hill, but I do still think that he's really good. You have Justin Herbert, who, by the way, people are wildly overrating the Chargers.
I don't know. I go back and forth. I think the Chargers could be really sick.
They're good, but like people, they got JC Jackson, did they? Okay, never mind. Yeah. I don't want to talk about the Chargers.
And Khalil Mack.
I think Khalil Mack. Yeah.
I think he's kind of over the hill, but like still.
That's like one of the storylines that nobody wants to talk about, is that like Khalil Mack, his star burned very bright, very shortly. Like, and then that was it. But yeah, Mac Jones, top 10, most likely in the 7 to 10 range. Do you think at the end of the year, Mac Jones on the list? I'm not talking about specific stats or anything like that. Top 10 quarterback in the league.
I need to have a list of like the league starting quarterbacks in front of me. I don't know. It's tough because the Patriots are a running system and he'll benefit and he'll have his games. He'll have plenty. I think unlike last year, he'll have plenty of 3 and a couple 4 touchdown games. But I think he'll also have a good amount of 1 touchdown games and stuff like that because it's going to be a lot of run heavy, run centric. Efficiency wise, he's going to be near the top. That's a guarantee. If we're talking efficiency, I think 100%. Overall quarterback, it's tough. I think
I got you.
I think his ceiling is like, number 7, but I think his floor is like 13. So he's in the range, but it would be tough for me to definitively say top 10.
Okay, let me real quick. This is the 32 quarterbacks in I get they rank them, but I'm just gonna list them off. So Tom Brady, he's in there. Aaron Rodgers, that's 2. These aren't people that Mac Jones is better than or is going to be ahead of. Justin Herbert, that's 3. Joe Burrow, he's going to be ahead of Mac Jones. Patrick Mahomes, going to be ahead. That's 5 so far. Josh Allen, number 6. And now here's where shit starts to get weird because I could see Mac Jones being placed ahead of all these guys. We didn't talk about this guy, but Kyler Murray, Mr. I'd rather play video games than practice. I could easily see Mac Jones being better than him. Kyler Murray to me is a bad quarterback who makes really cool plays. That's how I will always.
But it works. He puts in a half-ass effort and he's still good.
Yeah, his team sucks. So I could see him. I could see him being ahead of Kyler Murray. Matthew Stafford. I like Matthew Stafford. I have nothing bad to say about him. I could see Mac Jones being ahead of Matthew Stafford. I don't think that's crazy. You don't think so?
That's crazy. Yeah. I think Matt Stafford's a boss. That's a bad man.
All right. So far, if we're going to put Matthew Stafford ahead, which I think we will, because just the options and stuff like that he has on the team.
The offense is sick. He got Allen Robinson.
Exactly. Oh yeah. They did. So that's 6. That's 6 quarterbacks. I'm not putting Kyler Murray ahead of him. Ahead of Mac. And this is just thinking at the end of the year, like who I could see Mac Jones being ahead of. Well, I know this guy you will think Mac Jones will be ahead of. Dak Prescott.
Yeah, significantly. Okay. Dak's fucking terrible.
Derek Carr. People, I'm not saying Derek Carr is bad, but
people think he's going to win MVP this year.
The love affair with him, just because of the first 6 games last year, is very strange to me. Ryan Tannehill, get the fuck out of here.
No shot.
Russell Wilson, I do think he is over the hill, but I could see him being up there, but I could easily still see Mac Jones being ahead of him. Kirk Cousins, we've already talked about him.
We've established that one.
Good regular season quarterback, but he will lose you games. Lamar Jackson, I have
Jackson.
I have very hot takes about Lamar Jackson. He's not a good quarterback. I put him in the same ilk of Kyler Murray, where they're not good quarterbacks. They're just athletic freaks. So they make highlight plays. I also hate the Ravens. But I
love the Ravens.
Lamar Jackson is he's a playmaker, whatever buzzword you want to use. Playmaker. He can win you games. He can do all this stuff.
He's got the intangibles.
He's got the it factor, but you know what else? Yep. He's got the shit factor. So I don't see, I could see Mac Jones being placed in lists above him. Jalen Hurts.
No.
I like him. I think he got a shitty deal in Philly when they had Nick Foles. They were doing all the weird shit over there. But Mac Jones is going to be ahead of him. Let's be honest. Matt Ryan, over the hill. I
think Matt Ryan could be really bad this year, which would suck.
Undeserved nickname of Matty Ice.
Yeah, he's never been.
And then,
never been clutch.
And then this list actually has Mac Jones as number 17. So, Jimmy G, nope. Teddy Bridgewater, no. Carson Wentz, no. Jameis Winston, no. Tua, no. Jared Goff.
I think Carson Wentz is going to be really good this year.
Of course you do. And then nobody else is even worth it. I got to Baker Mayfield. I'm just going to stop. So again, Liam, hearing the names, Mac Jones at the end of 2022, is he a top 10 quarterback?
No, he'll be 12.
I think it is a slam dunk. Yes. I think he's 8.
Wow.
I think he's number 8.
Yeah.
I think he's number, I do think, as much as I hate to say it, I think Lamar Jackson would be listed ahead of him. And I think Matthew Stafford would be too, obviously.
I'm going to write this down. Let's bet a 6-pack of Blue Moon over this.
Yeah, no, let's go. So I think it'll be Tom Brady. Let's just Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. We'll go and what's his name? Matthew Stafford, Lamar Russell Jackson, Wilson. Mac Jones. No. I don't think Russell Wilson.
You think that? But
Tim Patrick just went down from the Broncos. Tim Patrick's gone for the year.
Yeah, which is depressing. But
I would put Mac Jones at number 8. I think at the end of the year, though, he will be a top 10 quarterback in however you want to rank, like an overall ranking. I'm sure he might be 12th in yards, but 9th in touchdowns or whatever in completion percentage. It just overall, when the lists come out, we'll take a look. We'll see. We'll take the average of where Mac Jones ranks. If he is top 10, 6-pack of Blue Moon. If he's out of that, I send it to you. But what I think
virtual handshake.
Virtual handshake. I think though the twist will do that Blue Moon will be delivered in person, because I think it is high time that we do a Tuck Rule Takes episode in person.
Yes.
So at the end of the year, we'll see what's going on. Whoever brings a 6-pack of Blue Moon, and we will get very drunk and do a very drunk, most likely very long episode of Tuck Rule.
Yes, that would be fucking awesome.
We
should try and look at games too. I was looking at some prices; they're not too bad.
Flights are very cheap right now.
Are they?
For the most, depending on where you go, but there's a ticket where you can go. I think you can go to New Hampshire. So from where I am, I can go halfway across the country to New Hampshire for like $60.
No shit. You fly into New Hampshire?
I could fly for flying into New Hampshire. It's 80 something. Flying into Boston, it's 60 something.
Really? Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah.
I gotta
Which
get on
I'm
that
I'm
deal.
gonna have to be up there in October 1st. I got a wedding to go to, so
Hey,
I'm gonna be up there for that. So
wedding season.
yeah, wedding season. But yeah, Mac Jones top 10. You think he'll be around number 12?
I do.
We'll see. We'll see. I think that'll be good. Last thing about another thing I wanted to bring up. We say it all the time. Christian Barmore, anybody who has access to Twitter from the Patriots reporters are saying he's going to be a beast. So I have nothing else to say, but Christian Barmore is going to be a beast. I cannot wait for him and Lawrence Guy and Matthew Judon to cause havoc. Cannot wait. I think that's all I really had for this episode. What else you got?
I think
before
that
we give our
basically
moment of
covers
silence?
all the bases. Everything else that was mentioned wasn't too noteworthy. Just status quo. The Patriots offense left it on the field toward the end and kind of screwed up and didn't score on the last play. Mac Jones threw a pick on like a arid pass with 5 seconds to go and whatnot. It's fucking practice. Bill's out there, like, just sling it. Like, if you make a mistake, there's literally no repercussions. Yeah, literally. Oh my God, he threw a pick on a joint practice. So the rest of it, in my eyes, isn't exactly worth mentioning. I'd rather Mac get these mistakes out early and figure out the offense in the training camp than in the regular game. You learn from your mistakes. I actually kind of like to see that. So I'm not worried about any of the other reports there. There was Matt Rule talking about the Patriots, though, which was kind of flattering. And he said, Bill, the offensive scheme that they run gets wide receivers open. He didn't speak on any of the talent of the wide receivers. He just says year in and year out, the Patriots offense gets receivers open. So they were focused on man coverage, trying to stop the wheel routes, the in-breaking routes, the option routes, the stuff like that the Patriots do to throw off, get guys open, the pick plays. So I like it. I like to hear them praise the Patriots. Matt Rule's like, they won 6 Super Bowls for a reason. They're fucking killing it. Bill Belichick's a stud. They're going to get guys open. So we're going to focus on man coverage to try and stop that. It apparently worked a little bit if the Panthers won this joint practice, but you hear about Devonte Parker killing it. They talked about your boy Tyquan having a diving catch, which must have been phenomenal as well. So
speed kills.
So they say, but I'd like a little muscle on that speed as well.
Yeah, I know he's got those dainty wrists. That's what I keep seeing. I see pictures of him and I'm like, oh no, like you got
anything but the wrists. Do some forearm work.
Don't chop him at the line. His wrists are gonna break. Like, what are you doing
out there looking like Shaquille Griffin out there running without a hand?
Oh no, I think Mac Jones was ahead of Shaquille Griffin too on that top 100 list.
Well, he has one hand, so he should be.
It looks like Matt Patricia is most likely going to be the one calling plays. I guess in the game against the Giants, they had him and Joe Judge kind of doing it. But I guess in this like simulated 11-on-11, it was Matt Patricia. I'm still not, I know it's like the hot topic right now. And this is kind of, I feel like what we're going to end on all the time until it gets decided, if it ever does. I'm still not worried about who's going to call plays because I don't think that it really matters as long as Mac Jones knows who to go to or who is giving him the plays. And I it doesn't seem like anybody in the team is worried. They asked Joe Judge, they asked Matt Patricia, they asked Bill Belichick. He said it's a process. Patricia said it's he's doing what he's asked. It's a collaborative thing. Joe Judge said the same thing. I'm still not worried, even though, like the local media wants you to be worried about it. Are you worried at all about the fact that there's still no offensive coordinator technically named?
No, I mean, we're going to get an offensive coordinator. They're not just going to decide no one's the offensive coordinator. It's going to be somebody. And whether that person is capable or not, I'm sure the offensive coordinator will be consulted by Bill Belichick and probably every other coach on the offense. They have a bad game calling plays. The other coaches are going to be like, hey, what the fuck was that? They're not just going to go, that game kind of sucked, but we'll give you another chance. No, they're going to correct it. They're going to try and fix it. There are 17 fucking games. You can count on two hands and a toe, two on your toes.
Yes.
How many games
Sitting there
there
thinking
are.
too much.
Yeah, I'm like, But you can count very easily how many games there are.
Mhm.
Each game matters. These are all things that get addressed early and often. So somebody's going to do it. And I know Bill Belichick probably going to be behind the scenes offensive coordinator, which still gets me jazzed up. No matter
Most
what,
likely.
Bill will have a big play on the offensive calls.
Of course, that's the thing. So even if you do have like Matt Patricia doing it and say he kind of starts to suck a little bit, Joe Judge jumps in. And then guess what, guys? If all else fails, Bill Belichick is going to be the one doing it. I'm not worried. I think this isn't the first time the Patriots or any team have gone into a year without a labeled offensive coordinator. The team doesn't seem to worry. They're instituting a new offense. I'm more worried about just the team grasping the offense as opposed to who is calling it. And it seems like they're slowly starting to do it. We still have weeks until week 1. Not worried. Now, if you're talking, this is a couple days before week 1 and the players are still like, I don't know what to do with this offense. It's all weird. And Kendrick Bourne said himself, he's like, it's not really different. It's just, just getting used to a couple of different things. Hunter Henry said that it's not a big deal. It's not. It's one of those fabricated things because you need something to talk about around this time because for some reason, the New England sports media that covers this team doesn't want to talk about the fact that the Patriots might actually be really fucking good this year. So
heaven forbid the team that's already really good or that has been really good will continue to be really good.
Top 3 defense, top 10 offense. Don't want to talk about how they might be really good though. So whatever. We'll see. And then just because we've always brought up every episode, Dante Hightower still not on the team. No word on him. He might be dead.
I was talking to my buddy about him last night. I'm like, fucking, where is this guy? He's off the grid. I refuse to believe that no one's going to sign him.
I think he's going to end up retiring or coming back to the Patriots. I feel like we mentioned that before. Those are his 2 options. So if he wants to come back, last thing on the linebackers, Matt Judon, everybody has said that Jawan Bentley is the unofficial leader of that defense.
That Jawan Bentley is?
Jawan Bentley. I like it. Yep.
I mean, it makes sense. He was there last year, but I don't know. Like, I figured it'd be Judon. I figured it'd be McCoy.
Judon himself
said that. Okay. Big talk.
I like
big talk. I like
that.
The middle linebacker. He's the quarterback of the defense. It should be. Again, I was having this conversation with my buddy last night because I was talking about how there are no more prolific middle linebackers in the league anymore. With Dante Hightower being out, it's like Darius Leonard, Roquan Smith, and that's about it. Like people say Levante David, I think he hasn't been much in the last 4 years.
No.
They just talk about him a lot because the Bucs have success, but their defense sucked up and besides their Super Bowl.
They got hot for like 4 games.
Yeah, exactly. So there are no more like stellar. There's no John Beesons. There's no Luke Kuechly's. Brian
Bobby
Urlacher's.
Wagner was the last one, probably. I think.
Yep, and Bobby Wagner is still in the league. You're right. So I don't know what he will look like on the Rams. He very well could still be sick. I always forget about Bobby Wagner, but there is a limited number of beasting middle linebackers in the league anymore. Yep. I really hope Jawan Bentley can be that bruiser, that guy, kind of make a big name out of himself because he was as irrelevant as it got the last couple of years. And then all of a sudden he worked his way up. Now he's there. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I can't wait. I think as we get closer to week 1, I get more and more excited. I feel like some people are getting more and more worried. I cannot wait. I just want real football to start. Preseason's cool. It doesn't really matter other than just kind of seeing people make cool plays or seeing who's going to start where, what's going to happen. Please no more injuries though. I just don't want any more injuries. That's all I want. Just no more injuries, especially not to the offensive line or really just any other position. So if that can happen, I think the Patriots will be in good shape moving forward. And again, this is how we said we're going to end it. Rest in peace, rest in power, James White. I might actually end up getting his jersey now that he's gone. I will get his jersey. I feel like I have to. So, Liam, anything else to say before we give a little moment of silence before the sweet feet for James White?
Nothing to be said.
Nothing to be said. All that's kind of, we're going to leave it all out on the podcast field like James White did. So Tuck Rule Takes. We'll be back next week, episode 46. Until then, hug your loved ones, guys. You never know when they're gonna leave us too soon, like James White did. That's it. This was for you, James White. You will one day be on this podcast. Rest in power, my friend. Sweet.